So I've been going over the different reasons why stores aren't performing this month. And I mean, it's Q4. It's generally slow in the world of automotive in Q4. I think I've only got maybe 3 or 4 stores that are actually performing better than they did in October and so on and so forth. Most of my stores just are having a normal Q4 where business is slow and they're struggling, just to get by. So most of my stores are doubling down on used car inventory and making sure that's advertised well, that's priced right. But let's say that you have a dealership where you're struggling to sell cars, you're struggling to get leads, you're struggling to get phone calls. What do you do? Where do you start? And without blaming, it's that time of year, or it's the brand I sell, or, what have you, where do you start to try to make sure that you've got everything set up the way it needs to be set up for success? The first thing I would start with would be to look at my website. And I've done actually a series, an episode on SEO specifically, long tail keywords, AI-friendly information on there. That FAQ page is a fantastic way to kind of encapsulate a lot of SEO, valuable SEO information. So starting with your website and really making sure that your organic ranking is number 1 or number 2, and as far as your Google Analytics with regards to traffic drivers. So that's really the first thing I would do. So the next part would be to your organic social media presence. What are you doing? What are your salespeople doing to get more eyeballs on your business via social media? Are you filming videos about cars, educational, funny, trends? Are you engaging with people on those forums? Are you in other forums on social media for car clubs? So there's car clubs for every type of car out there, from Ferraris down to Hondas. There's car clubs for everything. Is your dealership or are your salespeople participating in those forums? Because organically, those types of forums actually draw quite a bit of attention to your business if you can position yourself as a subject matter expert with regards to Nissan Z clubs, things like that, Chevy Corvettes. If you can establish yourself as the subject matter expert with those particular models, or in the particular model that your brand that your dealership sells, you can actually position yourself to be the go-to person for parts, for sales, for service when it comes time for those people to make that decision. So organically is the first place you need to check when your dealership is not selling what it needs to sell, because organically is where you can make the difference. The last place you check is in your paid marketing, your search engine marketing. In you having a really piss poor month isn't because there's something wrong with marketing typically, unless it's all off. I mean, there's really not, it's really not going to make or break a dealership, because all the companies that do marketing do all the same type of marketing. We all do brand, regional, VAs, new VAs, used VAs, new make, and a couple of model campaigns. We all do the same thing, and they all perform the same way. But there are a few things, and I've talked about them in the past. So making sure that there's settings on your ads campaigns that make sure they're not appearing in gaming apps, not appearing in any apps except in Google Play and the automotive and vehicles app. That's it. And then making sure the ads are being served up to residents or people regularly in the location, making sure the IP address for your store or IP addresses for your store are being blocked from ads, little things like that make it better. In addition, when you're building out Performance Max campaigns, I know Performance Max has a lot of hate out in the car business right now, but they can actually be used to your advantage. How you do that is by putting signals, by putting search themes, by putting all those different guardrails on to the PMax campaign. Because if you don't do that, Google is going to get Google paid, so Google's going to serve it up to whatever gets the click. Your job is to tell Google exactly where to serve it up that makes the most sense for that particular shopper, and to gain a quality click through to the website. All that's for naught if your website's not sticky. So those things I was talking about before, that's part of it. The other part of it is the inventory mix that you have. So I had a store the other day, they're in a pretty rural part of the state they're in. They're a lower volume dealer, but they're selling, you know, a third of the volume of vehicles as anybody who has relative size to them. Well, there's a couple of problems going on at that particular one I won't go into, but one of the ones I noticed is there's an inventory problem, and actually a coworker pointed that out to me. They have an inventory problem. The other store that's equivalent to them in size and inventory level has 131, I think it was, 131 used cars. The store that called me in a panic and said there's something wrong with our marketing has 19. 19. You heard that right. So of those 19 cars, how many are actually the same brand as they sell? 7. The other store has over 60 that are of the name brand they sell, used cars. Not certified pre-owned, there are some, but they're also used cars of the same brand they sell. So this store doesn't have they have an inventory problem. There's 3 things that you have, if you're not selling what you should be selling, you have a people, product, or process problem. Those are the first 3 areas you looked at. I know I've been banging on that drum for a while, but that seems to always come up, that people want to, well, we got to dig in and investigate because we're not selling cars. Well, why are you not selling cars? Have you looked at the processes you're using? Are the people you're employing, are they actually empowered to give pricing and to give details and to get shoppers to, you know, come into the dealership by giving them a price, by giving them a breakdown of what a lease looks like? Because if you're still one of those dealers that's saying, oh, well, you can come into the dealership and get the best price, then you're the problem. You're not making any solutions there. So I really strongly encourage people to look at those things before they go to the marketing company and try to PPC their way out of a bad situation. Because you can pay all the money, you can switch companies every 90 days. You can pay all the money in the world, you can have the biggest budget in the world, but you're not going to PPC, you're not going to pay your way out of a bad inventory, a bad website, bad processes, bad people. That's not going to fix any of that. And you're just going to keep making it worse until finally the owner comes up and says, you know what, you're all fired and I'm going to redo this from the ground up, and figures it out himself or herself. So before it gets to that point, if you see yourself having trouble, not just Q4, type trouble selling cars, but a deeper issue where you're really just not seeing the traction that you think you should have, I challenge you to look at those things first. I challenge you to look at the people, product, processes, and then I challenge you to look at your organic presence, both on your website and on your social media. If you have any kind of questions or any kind of doubts or any kind of how do I know what I'm looking at, feel free to message me, ping me. I'm on LinkedIn, and I'm happy to go through that with you. That's all I got for this week. Happy selling.